Mega Man X5. This game is not good. And unfortunately, it's for all of the right reasons, because there's a lot that this game does incredibly well. So, let's start with what this game does good. There's the story, the characters, the gameplay, the scene, I'm not sure what to call that, but I'll elaborate in a second, and as always, the music. The story. For the first time in a Mega Man X game, we get a full story that unfolds before you. No more implied happenings, no more off-screen assumptions. Aside from the space colony Eurasia that's just suddenly there, it's never explained who or what lives on it or even its purpose, but it's there, in orbit, like the token plot device that it is. But as such, early on it's revealed that the colony is on a collision course with the Earth and will obliterate all life, humans and Reploids alike. And guess who's gonna stop it? That's right, X and Zero. But this time, they're not alone, which gets us to the next topic. The characters. Along with our returning duo, we now have 4 supporting characters, Alia and Cygnus, who do all of the talking explanations, and the other 2 who agree with them to show urgency, I guess? I wish I was joking, but Douglas only has a few lines of dialogue, most of which are simply reactions, and the other guy, whose name I can't even remember, maybe has 3 lines of dialogue? I think his name has an S in it? You can probably tell who gets all of the screen time. But that aside, even the bosses have character, dialogue, and backstories that are all revealed in level briefings or as you talk to them. And you can't talk about levels and bosses without mentioning the gameplay. Even though the controls are not quite as tight as in X1, 2, and 3, they're still solid. Zero retains his skill-based combos and utility abilities, while X has his Batman-like arsenal, a weapon or armor for every scenario. Speaking of, X has multiple sets of armor to collect in this game, and Zero even gets his own upgrade for once. He even has some awkward but amusing back and forths with Dr. Light if you find one of X's armor capsules while playing as Zero. Did I mention that you can also choose between X and Zero before entering a level? On top of that, every time you beat a stage, you get to choose an energy or a health upgrade to suit your playstyle, on top of unlocking equipment that you can swap out at will in between levels at HQ. How cool is that? Yeah, so now that we have that, let's talk about the scene. Maybe I should call this the flow, the tone, I don't really know what to call it. But this game constantly reminds you that amid all of the chaos, the fate of the world is at hand. In the intro stage, you fight a certain recurring villain, who upon defeat spreads an ultra-aggressive and infectious virus. You know, same old, but it is worth mentioning. Once you beat the intro stage, your allies inform you that you have 2 options to destroy the falling space colony. You can either shoot it down with a giant laser cannon called the Enigma, or you can crash a spaceship into it. Either way, you're gonna have to collect 4 items to repair them to increase your chances of success. And how do you get these items? Easy. You defeat the boss who has what you need. Or, as the game constantly mentions, you could ask them nicely. But this is a Mega Man game, so you know how it goes. Also, did I mention that you only have 16 hours before impact, and each level or failure ticks off an hour? And the game tempts you every step of the way by giving you the option to fire the Enigma at any time. And to wrap it all up, this game has multiple endings. And how can it possibly get any better sounding from there? Easy. The music. In true Mega Man fashion, this game has a great soundtrack that hypes you up every step of the way. It even utilizes one of the single most powerful sounds to ever exist. Silence. So, sounds amazing, right? Well, on paper, yes, it sounds like a dream, but in execution, it's sloppy. So, let's talk about the bad. The story. First off, the story is great, easily the best story in the Mega Man X series yet. The only flaw is the execution. Most of it is done via text dialogue, and a good chunk of it is mid-game, which at best halts the gameplay and at worst gets you killed. You see, every stage has an intro briefing from Alia, which gives some insight for the level or the boss. And this is a good place for it. Even though it can be rather lengthy at times, the worst of it comes from being warned about a stage hazard mid-level, only to immediately get killed by that stage hazard. And some levels have constant interruptions that feel awkward and inconvenient. The characters. The supporting characters I don't mind, even if Alia's interruptions do get a little tedious, and Signa's explanations do go on a bit too long. The other two are simply not in the game enough to feel for or against, which is actually a good thing. They aren't forced in the game with useless dialogue just for the sake of being there. The bosses, however, devolve into three different personalities. There is the, "Oh, you're such a bully and I will force you to fight me to the death so that I can prove how bloodthirsty you are, so prove me right by killing me or die." The second is those who have genuinely accepted the apocalypse or just want to go out with a bang. And finally is Duff McWhalen. This guy is awesome. It's just a shame that his level is such a tedious pain. But I mean, come on, his name alone is awesome. The gameplay. Between Alia's interruptions and constant instant death hazards. The level design is frustrating. Most of these levels feel like you need to play them almost perfectly from memory if you want to get through them. And more often than not, enemies feel like they're placed specifically to slow you down or to be in the way. They aren't threatening, just annoying speed bumps. Speaking of slowdowns, Alder Squid's level. This one was especially miserable. And at the end of the stage, there's a boss. These guys are kind of a joke. Most of them you can kill in seconds with basic attacks, which after a punishing level, leaves you wanting and disappointed. The level rewards are also confusing. There's no explanation for this, but when you finish a level, you have a choice between an energy or a health upgrade, but you only get these for every respective 2 that you collect. I honestly thought the game was bugged at first because I didn't get anything until after the 4th stage. On top of that, each boss can give you 1 of 2 equipment pieces, but only after they reach level 8 or higher. Oh, right, did I mention that the bosses have levels? They don't seem to do anything or make the fights easier or harder, but they have them on display at the bottom of their health bars. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. But the levels do get higher as the in-game time ticks down, meaning that you are most likely going to miss out on several opportunities for rewards. And speaking of time, time only passes when you leave for a stage. Meaning that unless you go to a stage, get a game over, and decide to do a different level, you will never run out of time. And even if you do run out of time, it doesn't matter. The game will simply force you to fire the Enigma, which will fail no matter what, and then they'll send Zero to pilot the spaceship to crash into it. But his survival isn't based on whether or not you collect all of the shuttle parts, it's almost entirely random. Meaning that if you want to see a specific ending, you'll just have to reload or restart the game. Your effort means absolutely nothing. The scene, or whatever this should be called. After what I've said, you can probably tell that all sense of urgency the game builds up and constantly reminds you of is almost non-existent. Not to mention that after every level you can save your game, so the option of save scumming truly kills what's left of the tone. Without giving any spoilers, there is a big event that happens late in this game, and normally it would have brought me to tears. Unfortunately, I was so frustrated with this game that by the time of Shadow Devil's stage, I genuinely did not care. So I stopped reading and recording it, and was just playing it so that I could say that I beat the game before attempting Mega Man X6. Also, did I mention that I was at Shadow Devil for 2 hours before I learned you could crouch? Yeah, thanks for not telling me about that little thing I could have done this whole time, game. Anyway, I'm not somebody who easily gets angry at games, but almost everything about Shadow Devil's stage got on my nerves. This game trips over itself from start to finish. But hey, at least the music was good. No, 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 no. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank fucking... Oh. 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 If I didn't hit a stubborn streak in this stage, I would have just abandoned this game. 25 minutes my ass. I've been recording for 2 hours. Fuck you, game. Fuck you. Oh my god. Anyway, that's been Mega Man X5. I don't even know. Life Up, Z Saber Plus, whatever. I honestly and genuinely do not know if I even want to keep playing this game. I'm gonna think about this very long, very hard. I'm going to rethink everything I've done in my life to see if this is really something I want to be wasting my time on.